very effective at that. Never tried to do it on purpose, but it's a hot medium. TV, not so much, but it still telegraphs. But it's different strokes for different folks. Different ways of reaching out are going to affect different people different ways. But I tend to agree with you that the old frontal assault is not the best way in person. It's best to say, hey, you think everything's going well in the world? Do you think, do you like the things that are happening? Where do you think things are going to be in the future? And most people instinctively go, wow, I don't think things are going to be too good in the future. Whereas in the 50s and 60s, people did. They were demanding something better because they'd always seen things getting better. Now, people are more, I just want to keep what I've got because they instinctively know things are in deep trouble. Now, you're also waking people up now in a time when it's easier to wake them up because other people, and I'm sure you did as well, hit the barbed wire a long time ago. People used to be in such a trance that the 2x4 upside the head was the most effective. I want to give you one more minute when we come back to finish up. We'll just continue with calls. These are great calls today. And I do have some reports we're going to get to. You know, the reason I'm so freaked out is that government is engaging in crimes at every level and not getting in trouble. And there's so many crimes, I can't even keep track of it. What is going on that we don't know about? Who's watching the watchers? And I was just thinking about this during the break. How government now admits that it's listening and watching and recording phone calls, faxes, emails without warrants. And that's just the way it is. Every time they do that, it's a felony. In England, it's still illegal. And the government has now come out and said, doesn't matter, we're recording everything. And the BBC and London Telegraph, they all report it like it's a good thing. Like, by the way, we listen and record everything. We listen to and record everything. Everything. And I've gotten so conditioned, I think I flashed that article on screen yesterday and didn't even talk about it. In fact, will you guys pull that back up for me? The London Telegraph headline, I think, was something like, government to record and everything. And then it's got people saying, this is unbelievable. This is, they had a government minister saying, this is 6 million times worse than it is now. That was one headline. This surveillance, 6 million times worse than it is now. And then another headline was, worse than 1984. And people are like, well, what do I have to hide? Let them listen. They're going to make stuff up, folks. They want to be able to say they're listening to you and surveilling so they can just put whatever they want on your computer. And again, you think I like going up against these people? You think it's fun? It's got to be done. That's one reason I've realized I go into a rage all the time, because instead of being afraid, I get mad at them that I'm having to confront them. I get so disgusted with the globalists. And then the general public who's letting all this happen, I really get mad at them. Because you know what? We do have a great country. This is a great country. It's full of great people. We have such prosperity. And I see my future and my children's future and my wife's future going down a rat hole. And it makes me mad. Every time I see good things, it makes me mad. You understand that? Every time I look at my daughters who are so innocent and pure and full of electricity and so innocent, and I think about how bad this world is. Every time I look at my son who is so good and strong and smart and loving, and I think about the stuff out there in the world, it just makes me sick. And I know parents know what I'm talking about. It is painful to my heart. I feel it in my heart. And I just wish people weren't so bad. I wish people, but you know, I can deal with a robber or a kidnapper or a killer. But who I can't deal with is big, powerful mega corporations and governments who are above the law. And that's the most dangerous thing in history. Governments killed more people than anything else in history, unnatural cause. And we're all in grave danger. And if you don't know that, you aren't paying attention. and the danger is intensifying by the minute. My gut is so on edge right now that it is torture. I mean, this morning I shot like 2 or 3 videos that I haven't had time to upload, you know, where I was just covering different topics. I cannot, and again, I know I'm talking about myself here. I know you're going through this as well. So it's all I can do is talk about what I'm experiencing, and hopefully it can give people a window into their own minds to really focus on these issues and think about where is this going? What will we put up with? Because if stuff is this bad today, what is it going to be a month from now, a year from now, 10 years from now? Think of 20 years ago. Would you have ever imagined all of this that's currently admitted would be going on? No, you would think that was the wildest science fiction book ever. And now it's just there, and there's this sense of, oh, well, that's just the way it is. Well, the people running things aren't just going to stop at some certain point. Because if they do, there's more evil people that'll replace them and go even further. And then those that are even more evil that'll go further. It's a progression. It's an absolute race to the bottom. Just like NAFTA and GATT are a race to the bottom. Economically, Ross Perot is right. Evil, tyranny is a race to the bottom. All right, I'm going to come back. I'm going to take 5 more calls from Kevin, Paul, Matt, Robert, and Brad. And then that'll be it for calls, since I got some other news I want to hit. But just be ready. I'm trying to go to you quickly, which you know is impossible. But we'll try our best here, Infowars.com.
We're on the march. The empire's on the...
All right, Brad in Michigan, you were making some points earlier, and I skipped a segment before going back to you. Thanks for holding. Finish up your point.
Just one last thing is that the biggest thing that I always try to remember, and I think this is the major distinction between our movement and the globalist Luciferians that would have their way, is that they believe that 90% of life is worthless and needs to be eliminated. And we believe that all human life is precious and is worth saving.
Well, more than that, that 90% thing is just what they teach their minions. Like, oh, we're only going to kill 80 to 90%. But if you get into the more internal documents, they talk about how the last globalist will fight the other globalist for the power, and that they're going to merge with machines and become gods. It's just total power trips. And we're like, well, that sounds crazy, because a normal person is just happy to be healthy and to have healthy children and is happy to be outside on a pretty day. These guys like to tie women up in dungeons and torture them. And you're like, but that doesn't make sense, because you're not screwed up like they are. And so good people are always blind to that type of evil. That's the problem, is that good people just can't get their minds around just how wicked the wicked are. But, I mean, they want to get rid of almost everybody. And they're delusional. Again, why would their lowest level minion, the TSA creature, why would they routinely go crazy and start announcing they're God, or ask women out for dates, so they're going to plant drugs on them, or grope women, or pull their shirt off in, what was it, Amarillo, and tell the woman she had beautiful, body parts, and then they had to settle because it was on video? They're crazy. They're crazy. It's not that they're even that smart at many levels. It's that they're willing to do the work to figure out how to take over. Because you don't have to then have beautiful art, or have an incredible voice, or be a great musician, or be a scientist, or be a, artisan, or someone who has a skill. You don't have to do that if your skill is getting in charge. And so you've got this giant system of scum competing with each other to get into the positions of power. And so, of course, you've always got people on the bottom, the cops that don't want to be evil and don't want power, who actually got in to help people. They're never going to go up to the top, because only the most oily, manipulative people, on average, are going to go to the top. Sometimes good people, for whatever reasons, get to the top, and then the system comes after them. That's why more and more, and I appreciate your call, as the system gets discredited, more and more you are going to see people standing up and saying no. Because as that illusion drops, as that lie that the system's all-knowing, all good, and everybody else is bad, as that hoax implodes, they're going to think it's business as usual and get even more arrogant, which is now happening. And that's only going to serve to wake people up even faster. Let's talk to Kevin in California. Kevin, welcome.
Hi, Alex.
Hey, buddy.
My name's Kevin Ruskoff, Ruskauff, and I'm telling you
let me
my
just
name.
stop you. Well, that's fine, and you sound like a real person. In the past, people will call up with a name or number to harass somebody who they aren't, and for liability reasons, we really don't like to give people's full name. But there, you've given it on air. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, you can see how I've suffered. If you go to my YouTube, I got shot 4 times with a .38. The guy that shot me said he never saw me with the weapon. He said I was only 10 to 12 feet away from him when he shot me. He told the guy that he said that the guy that told him to shoot me had blood on his hand, and the weapon that they said that I used had blood on it, and I was only bleeding from my chest. Anyway,
Okay,
I got
so
shot.
you've been wronged, and you're basically trying to call in to get attention to your case so people can find out exactly what happened to you.
Yeah, I got wronged because I have the Templar Handbook, and I have it in my possession. It's called Tactics and Monitor for Knights of the Order of the Temple. And in it, it says on page 315, paragraph 779, Constitution of the Grand Encampment of the Knights Templar of the United States of America. In order to secure greater unity, better government, and to increase the prosperity and influence of the orders of Christian Masonic knighthood in the United States, this Constitution is ordained and established. Article 1, the Grand Encampment of whom composed Section 1, the supreme legislative, judicial, and executive power of the orders of the Red Cross, Knights Templar, and Knights of Malta shall be vested in the Grand Encampment of Knights Templar of the United States of California, which shall consist of the following members: the Grand Master, the Deputy Grand Master, the Grand Generalissimo, the Grand Captain General, Warden, Junior Warden, Treasurer, Recorder, Prelate, so on and so forth. Then back here it says, honors paid by Templars. The Order of the Temple this is on page 553. The Order of the Temple is powerful in numbers, wealth, and position, and honors paid to its officers and representatives should therefore be in keeping with the dignity of the Order. The following named officer will be received with standards drooping. All officers executing...
Okay, well, that sounds like some kind of Masonic gobbledygook to me. You think somebody would shoot you for this? I mean, I can go buy supposed Knights Templar handbooks on the internet. I just searched it right now. I can buy the rings, everything else. Why would people shoot you over this?
Well, because it says down here, the President of the United States is saluted as paragraph 1284. And,
sir, I understand you're reading out of something you think is a Knights Templar's handbook. Tell us how you came upon it and why you're saying someone shot you.
Well, I came across the book. I met the great-grandson of the guy who owned this book. The book was locked in a gentleman who came, a Freemason pharmacist who came over from New York to San Francisco during the gold rush. The book was locked in his safe and inherited by his great-grandson, locked. His great-grandson drilled open the book, drilled open the safe, and inside the safe was the...
Sounds like a great TV show. Why don't you shoot video of it and put it on the web? Because, you know, there'd be no reason to kill you if this is some really super secret book once you expose it.
Cover, it's